Before we start, if you're listening right now, I want to know where you are and what time it is for you. Drop a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already, because you're about to step into something that might make you double-check your own back door tonight. It's just past midnight. Outside, rain taps lightly against the side window, steady and unrelenting, like soft fingers drumming on a wooden surface. The air smells damp, cool, with a faint trace of earth from earlier in the evening. You're in a small, rented cabin, somewhere rural, where the closest neighbor is at least a mile down the lane. The lights inside are warm, too bright almost, contrasting the grayish blur just beyond the curtains. Somewhere deep in the back of the house, the familiar hum of the refrigerator and the occasional drip from the bathroom faucet mark the quiet, but there's something else. You caught it a moment ago. Footsteps. You freeze, the soft tap 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 like slow footsteps, approaching from outside, coming around to the back door. Your skin prickles, chilled partly from the damp air sneaking in through the slightly cracked window, partly from that low creeping tension that coils inside your chest when something doesn't quite add up. You move toward the door, boots muted against the hardwood floor, senses sharpening. There's no meaning to the footsteps yet, just the sound of wet shoes pressing into the scattered leaves on the porch. Slowly, you crouch near the peephole, patience holding tight in your grip as your eye presses against the cold metal rim. Outside, everything is shadowed and wet. The porch light casts a yellow glow, struggling against the pouring rain, while the raindrops make a gentle symphony on the tin overhang. For a long moment you see nothing, not a person or figure, just the trembling tree branches dripping rain like heavy teardrops. Then, that sound again. Footsteps shuffling, closer now, on the gravel path that leads from the gate to the door. It's hard to tell if they're hesitant or deliberate. Your heart rhythm shifts just slightly. You reach quietly, your fingers brushing the cold edge of the deadbolt and the sturdy latch above, checking both locks, each one clicking softly and securely in place. The rain keeps drumming, steady but patient, as if it too is watching and waiting. A whisper, a breath of sound almost lost beneath the rain, slides through. You tilt your head, trying to catch the meaning behind it, but it's indistinct, like a wind stirring dead leaves. Could be your own imagination joining in, or something else. You reach for your phone, thumb hovering for a moment over the screen to check the time. 12:14 a.m. Your finger pauses on the emergency call button, neither pressing nor retreating. Outside, the footsteps stop. Silence folds itself thick across the porch like a heavy blanket. The rain's rhythm holds steady. The moment stretches. You notice a faint, earthy scent, wet soil, rotting leaves, and something else, subtle and hard to place. The back door doesn't move, but your skin tightens, muscles ready to spring if needed. Minutes pass. The footsteps return, slow and careful, moving away now, tracing back toward the tree line. You don't hear them vanish, just fade. A slow retreat into the darkness and the rain. You wait a little longer before moving away from the door, your breath slow and even, yet the unease doesn't quite leave. You sit down near the window, drawn by the dim street lamp far off where the road curves out of sight, watching shadows dance with the rain. The night feels alive in a way it seldom does during the day, as if the space between your house and the woods just beyond holds its own quiet vigilance. Was it someone lost, seeking shelter for a moment? Or something else, lingering between the raindrops and the dark? You wonder how many footsteps go unheard on nights like this, how many whispers brush past windows, unnoticed and unreckoned. Before we get started, take a moment and imagine where you are right now. What time is it for you? If you like this kind of slow-burning story, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. This one's designed for a rainy night, somewhere quiet, where the dark feels a little thicker. Let's dive in. It's a little past 12:30 in the morning. Rain drifts against the glass with a gentle, persistent patter, like fingertips tapping a rhythm only late night knows. The air is dense and cool, brushing against your skin through the cracked open top window, carrying the wet scent of pine needles and earth. You're inside a small rental house, set at the edge of a forest, surrounded by shadows deepening in the storm. Street lights are far away, out beyond the bend in the road, their pools of pale light swallowed by the dark branches and swirling rain. You're standing near the back door, the one that leads to a narrow, uneven porch. The floorboards beneath your feet feel slick from the damp carried in by every breath of wind. You're listening because something caught your attention again, a faint rustling sound, soft but persistent, like footsteps stepping carefully along the weathered wood. But there's a twist tonight. It's not just the footsteps. There's a whisper beneath the storm's constant drum. Carefully, you edge closer to the door, hand briefly brushing the cool metal of the doorknob before cupping your ear against the cold wood. The whispers tease at the boundary of your hearing, too low to make out, but distinct enough to raise the hair on your arms. The voices feel like breath, nearly swallowed by the space between raindrops. A quick shuffle of leaves just beyond the porch, and then the steady pause of footsteps that seem to circle better than they move forward. You glance down, noticing muddy smudges on the wooden planks, faint marks left by boots that don't look like they belong to anyone inside. You reach for the peephole and peer through, the glass feeling damp at your eye. Outside, the porch light flickers briefly, struggling against the wind pushing the rain sideways. The dim glow reveals no shape, only the shine of wet leaves and the slight movement of shifting shadows. Your fingers move to the lock, clicking the deadbolt into place and dragging the latch snug against the frame. The door itself feels heavier in your grasp, as if resisting your watchfulness. The whispering edges closer, but still, no words break free. Only the rush of wind layered with the soft crackle of dry twigs under cautious steps. You pull back, heart steady but alert, and reach for your phone. The clock reads 12:37 a.m. There's the option to call for help, sure, but the nearest signal is patchy here, and you hesitate. Not out of fear alone, but because this presence feels strangely patient, as if it's waiting for you to decide what you'll do next. Outside, the rain intensifies. The porch light dims further, then steadies, and the footsteps stop. The whispers fade away, swallowed beneath the zipping wind and the steady tapping of water on wood and glass. Silence stretches, deep and complete, except for the storm's backdrop. The night feels dense with waiting. You sit back against the cool wall, breathing in the cold, damp air drifting through the window. It feels different here than yesterday, layered now with questions you didn't have before. What were those whispers? Who moves on your porch when no one is supposed to be outside? And what makes a quiet storm the perfect mask for something almost unseen? Maybe the rain washes away more than just footprints. Maybe some things slip quietly into the spaces between night and mind, lingering just long enough to make you wonder what watches when you're certain you're alone. And as you listen to the storm breathe around the house, you wonder whether it's better to never find out, or if sometimes the waiting itself becomes a kind of presence, one you might need, even if you're not sure why. Before we begin, take a moment to notice where you are right now. What time is it for you as you listen? If the quiet hum of rain on a late night pulls you in, thank you for being here. And if you like these stories that unfold slowly with layers of tension, please like and subscribe. Tonight, it's past midnight. The rain falls steadily, and you're about to lean into the flickering glow of headlights cutting through thick fog. The air smells rich and damp, wet earth mixing with leaf decay, and the sharp bite of cold moisture clinging to everything. You stand near the side window, fingertips resting lightly on the cool glass. Rain beads and trickles down, tracing lazy patterns that blur the world outside into wet, shifting shapes. The night is thick, and the fog hugs the uneven edges of the gravel driveway no more than a few yards away. Your breath catches when a pair of headlights suddenly pierces the mist, low and dull, the yellow glow humming softly into the dark. They approach slowly, no beam cutting wide or bright, just enough to suggest a vehicle moving without urgency. The road is empty here, no streetlights, just the storm's quiet song and the muffled crush of tires on wet stones. You watch the dim beams narrow toward the back gate, which sits closed between two rough posts, its latch just visible in shadow. The car slows, engine droning low, tires skimming a few feet of slick leaves. Somewhere behind the hum, you think you can hear a faint scrape, a foot brushing gravel, careful steps laced with hesitation. Your hand twitches instinctively toward the lock on the nearby back door. It's a heavy, solid bolt, cold beneath your fingers as you slide it home, feeling it click firmly into place. You check the secondary latch too. No weakness in this small defense. The rain drums its steady, rolling beat against the roof, a steady shield against anything trying to creep close. The headlights linger a moment longer, then the vehicle turns slowly, wheels crunching the pebbled path as it pulls away, swallowed quickly by fog and rain. The sudden absence of light makes the yard feel larger, emptier, though your skin remains prickled with quiet alertness. You glance back at the window, the wet glass whispering secrets in silence. Somewhere beyond the edge of sight, footsteps might be weaving through shadows, or whispers brushing close under the hum of the storm. The house behind you holds its warm, steady breath, a fragile island of light and lock and quiet. And you wonder, when the dark pushes inward and headlights appear where none should be, what does that pause between seeing and not seeing teach us about what we're really watching for? What waits in the storm's hush, as close as a glance, and yet always just out of reach? Before you settle in with this story, take a moment to notice where you are and what time it is for you as you listen. If the patience of a rainy night and quiet mystery draws you here, thank you for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to keep stepping into moments like this. Tonight, it's past midnight, and the storm wraps the world in wet silence as you pull up to a small 24-hour diner on the edge of a quiet highway. The air is thick, with the smell of rain-soaked asphalt and the faint hint of frying grease drifting from the diner's open windows. Outside, droplets tap against your windshield in a steady rhythm, a soft percussion that seems to slow time just a little. You reach out and turn off the wipers, the glass now dotted with clustered beads, water sliding down in random streams, and the world suddenly feels more distant, dimmer, as if the rain muffles not just sound, but everything else too. You step out into the chill, feeling the cold bite at your skin beneath the thin jacket you pulled on. The parking lot is mostly empty, lit only by a few sickly streetlights that drip yellow pools of light onto puddles and shining oil spots. The door to the diner tings softly behind you as you enter, the warmth and light hitting you like a wave after the damp night outside. Inside, the diner hums with low, nearly empty quiet. Few customers scatter at booths, their faces half hidden in the orange glow of overhead lamps. Behind the counter, the cook moves with practiced ease, the clatter of plates and the muted hiss of the coffee machine blending with the low hum of conversation. The scent of strong coffee and warm pie fills the air, comforting but distant. You slip onto a vinyl stool near the back window, tracing faint streaks on the glass where rain still clings. Outside, the night is thick and wet, shadows pooling near the edge of the parking lot. Something moves there, a figure, just beyond the corner of your eye, standing still. No rain falls on the coat's folds, no breath visible, no movement beyond the weight of waiting. You watch, breath slowing, and the figure does not turn, does not shift. Behind the dark glass, the world is smeared with rain and shadow, and yet this presence holds space with quiet insistence. The cook glances your way once, but says nothing. Your phone buzzes softly, a message, or maybe just the faint vibration against your palm. The clock on the wall ticks toward 12:18 a.m. You weigh your thoughts, considering whether to ask who the figure is, to watch a little longer, or simply to step back into the warmth and light. Outside, rain whispers against the diner's windows, washing down glass and concrete alike, blurring the edges of what's seen and unseen. You wonder how often moments like this occur, quiet, unspoken, where presence lingers without explanation. What draws a person to stand silently at the edge of a place like this in the heart of a storm? And how much do we notice the spaces between what we see, the silence that holds what we can't quite understand? Before you settle in, notice the time and place where you're listening now. If these quiet, rainy stories are your thing, thank you for joining, and please like and subscribe. Tonight, it's just past midnight. Rain pulses softly against the windows, and you find yourself drawn to the quiet stillness inside a small, rented house somewhere far from city glow. You're standing near the dining table, the heart of this little home. The air is thick, with the scent of damp wood and cold metal, from the faint hint of rain sneaking in through a slightly open window. Your fingers brush the worn edge of a wooden chair, solid, familiar, but somehow colder against your touch than it should be. The chair sits pulled back slightly from the table, empty, catching a weak pool of pale light from the overhead fixture, which flickers now and then with the unsettled storm outside. Outside, the rain sounds steady, with a soft, steady patter, punctuated by occasional heavier drops landing on the porch roof. Your ears catch it, the faint scrape of footsteps outside, careful and slow against wet gravel. Near the back door, a place you checked not long ago, fingers testing the cold lock and latch, something still moves just beyond your sight. You glance toward the window nearest the door, watching the gray wash of rain curtain the view. There's a shadow shifting behind the curtain of water, but it's indistinct and distant. You dare not step too close, preferring the quiet safety of warmth here inside. Another step, softer now. A whisper seems to brush just along the edge of sound, as if rain itself was carrying a secret too faint to catch clearly. Your breath clouds faintly in the cool air. Your hand moves to the back door's handle, fingers curling around the cold metal. The lock clicks reassuringly as you double-check every bolt you locked earlier. The phone glows softly on the table, screen lighting up with the time 12:07 a.m. You pick it up momentarily, scanning the signal bar, debating the familiar impulse to call someone, anyone. But you don't. Fear is not driving this quiet vigilance, just a careful watchfulness tuned to the night's pulse. The empty chair seems to hold its own presence, a silent invitation. You wonder who might have pulled it back, if only for a moment, and why it sits there now with no one coming to fill it. Footsteps fade gently away down the side porch, swallowed by the rain's even sound. A low creak nearby, maybe the old floor settling or wind pushing at the siding, shifts the house's stillness but doesn't break it. You return your gaze to the table, the bare chair, and the soft, constant rhythm of rain on the windows. It's strange how an empty seat can feel so full, of absence perhaps, or waiting. What stories gather around forgotten places at night? When the rain hides so much yet sharpens the quiet, what is it that lingers longer than any visitor? And as you sit still, breathing in the wet air and the soft darkness, you wonder, does silence fill the empty chair because of what isn't there? Or Because, sometimes, the past stays folded in the space where no one yet sits. Before we begin, take a moment to notice where you are, what time it is for you as you listen. If the quiet hum of rain on a late night pulls you in, thank you for being here. And if you like these slow, layered stories, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Tonight, it's past midnight. Rain taps lightly against the side window as you find yourself caught in the fading footsteps of a quiet night. The air smells fresh, heavy, with wet earth and cold wood smoke, still faint beneath the damp. You're standing near the back door of a small, rented house, nestled just outside town. The kind of place that feels far away, even if only a few miles out. The rain keeps rhythm on the porch roof, a soft tapping that blends with the murmuring wind through wet leaves. Your bare feet press against the cool hardwood floor, grounding you amid the stillness. Suddenly, a sound, footsteps, hesitant, careful, echo faint and distant from the gravel path that leads around to the back door. Your pulse tightens, senses sharpening, but there's no sudden rush, no panic. Instead, the steps come slowly, almost as if the person is weighing each movement, cautious in the storm. The air carries that sharp tang rain often leaves on skin, a cool wetness that brushes the nape of your neck through your sweatshirt. You approach the door with steady steps, hands slipping to the handle and feeling the rough texture of the cold metal beneath your fingers. The deadbolt clicks securely into place as you slide it home, a subtle but satisfying sound. The latch follows, a small click, locking out the dark quiet beyond. Your breath forms a faint mist in the cool air as you glance down at your phone. 12:19 a.m. Outside, the footsteps pause, hanging just beyond the reach of light. Then they retreat, a slow, uneven retreat, leaving behind only the soft brushing of wet leaves and the rain's constant murmur. The porch light flickers weakly, as if pondering whether to hold on or fade altogether. The night stretches long and deep around the house, holding its secrets tightly. You listen as the footsteps vanish, swallowed by the dense hush of damp earth and shifting shadows. The silence that follows is neither empty nor complete. It's thick with the sense of something left behind, an echo caught between the wet world and your quiet vigil. And as you stand still, feeling the rain cool your skin and the house breathe softly around you, a simple thought settles slowly. How often do we hear footsteps that never leave footprints? How many moments pass quietly between presence and absence, waiting for us to decide what's real and what we choose to imagine? Before we get started, take a moment and think where you are right now. What time is it for you as you're listening? If you enjoy these late night stories, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Tonight, it's just past 3 a.m., and you're about to find yourself pulled into a quiet, unsettling moment that hangs heavy between silence and sound. It's 3:17 a.m., and the rain is falling steady outside. Not a storm this time, more a constant drizzle, soft and unhurried. It taps against the side window with a rhythm like the steady ticking of a clock, each raindrop slipping down the glass cool against your skin when you lean close. The air smells like wet wood and damp earth, faint but familiar. Outside, everything is muffled by the thick, wet night. A low susurrus, the distant drip from pine needles, the faint scrape of branches brushing one another in the wind. You're in the kitchen now, drawn there by the quiet shift you heard, the kind of footstep that sounds out of place in the stillness. Your bare feet press gently into the cold tile floor as you move toward the back door. The soft glow of the overhead LED casts a pale circle of light, a contrast to the dark beyond the window panes. You pause near the door, hand reaching instinctively toward the metal latch, fingers brushing the cool brass of the handle. You swallow the dry lump rising in your throat, and then press your eye to the peephole. The glass is slightly fogged from the difference in temperature, a thin mist where your breath condensed while you leaned close. Outside, the porch is slick with rain, the boards darkened and shining in the weak glow of the porch lamp. You squint through the tiny lens, trying to trace shapes in the rain-blurred yard. At first, nothing moves. The wet leaves rest quietly beneath the porch steps. Then, from the edge of your view, a shadow shifts. A slow, deliberate motion. You hold your breath. Footsteps, faint but definite, crunch softly on the gravel, just beyond the porch light's reach. They seem to circle around, careful, as though measuring the ground or weighing the space before arriving. There's a deliberate patience to the sound, not the erratic pace of someone stumbling. The rain muffles everything else. It cloaks the drip, the rustle, and the whisper. Except this. You pull back from the peephole and click the lock into place without hesitation. The deadbolt snaps with a faint, satisfying thud. You check the secondary latch, securing it firmly. Your hands feel clammy, but your movements are steady, practiced. The phone lies on the counter, screen dim, showing 3:17 a.m. The signal icon flickers, spotty, but there. Your breathing slows a little, but the tension coils tight inside your ribs. You wonder if you should call. Then, at the edge of your hearing, a sound. A whisper, soft enough that you're not even sure it reached beyond your own mind. You lean back slightly, eyes fixed on the peephole, waiting. The rain's tapping never falters. Seconds pass. The footsteps move again. Away this time. Stepping lightly down the gravel path, fading into the thick hush of the woods nearby. Night swirls with quiet energy, alive in the moments between sound and silence. You linger there, feeling the cold floor beneath you, and the steady, insistent rain outside. The house behind you is warm, bright, your phone charged and ready, the locks all secure. And yet, your mind traces the path of those disappearing footsteps, chasing the whisper's shape, wondering what lingers at the edge of something you can't quite see or name. What draws a person, or whatever waits in the dark, to circle a door in the middle of a quiet, rainy night? And is it curiosity, or something else entirely, that keeps them close but just out of sight? The rain washes the world clean, but some questions seem to gather in the shadows, where even the storm cannot reach. Before you settle in, take a moment to notice where you are and what time it is for you right now. If you're here tonight, listening in the dark, thank you for joining. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if these quiet, rainy stories pull you in. Now, let's step into a night that unfolds slowly, with nothing quite as simple as it seems. It's 3:45 a.m. and rain is falling again. Soft, persistent, a kind that brushes the world clean without urgency. Outside the window nearest to you, water beads steadily, gathering in tiny rivers that trickle slowly down the glass, leaving thin, wet streaks behind. The room smells of cold wood and faint dampness, almost like the air itself is holding its breath. A humming radiator adds warmth, its low thrum mixing with the whisper of rain, sheltering you from the chilly night. You stand by that window, fingers grazing the cool frame as your eyes adjust to the darkness outside. Beyond the streaked glass, the porch light flickers, not quite steady, casting long, wavering shadows across the slick boards. The asphalt road beyond is mostly empty, slick black, interrupted by glints of water. It's in this quiet moment that you hear it. Soft taps against the window pane. Not the rain, not wind-moving leaves, but deliberate, light taps, 3 or 4, spaced apart as if someone is reaching out, testing something. Your pulse quickens a bit. You turn slowly, toes quiet against the rug, letting eyes scan the wet yard. No one's there, at least not so far as you can see. The drops dance down the glass, and the porch light hums its low electric buzz, but the yard remains empty. You press your palm flat against the window, feeling the slick cold, waiting for the sound to come again. It comes again. One long tap, then a wobble, then silence. You take a careful step back, eyes never leaving the window. The soft scuff of footsteps, faint but there, outside the corner of the house, just beyond the reach of any light. You can't see the feet, but you hear their careful movement over wet leaves and gravel. The rain muffles everything else, but not these steps, which slide and pause, as if someone is pacing, waiting. Your hand moves on its own, reaching toward the back door this time. You test the latch. It gives a clean, reassuring click, and slide the deadbolt home. Your breath comes a little faster now, chest tightening, not with panic, but alertness. The phone is in reach on the countertop. The clock reads 3:47 a.m. You weigh your options. Call, wait, investigate. But the footsteps retreat before any choice is made. Slow and deliberate, fading into the far-off woods. The tapping on the window, the steps just beyond, leave behind a quiet that fills the room with something familiar yet strange. You wonder about the rhythm of these small sounds, how they hold your attention so completely. It's the kind of silence that makes you more aware of your own heartbeat, the warmth in your skin, the sharpness of your breath. How often do the smallest noises slip beneath our notice in daylight, only to stand out loud and clear when the night drapes its weight around everything? What is it about being watched, or simply hearing movement nearby, that shifts your sense of place? And when the rain has washed the world clean again in the morning, will these soft taps on the glass mean anything at all? You stay for a moment longer by the window, tracing the path those unseen footsteps took, the mystery lingering in the quiet hum of the storm. Before we begin, take a moment to check in. Where are you right now? What time is it as you listen? If you're drawn to these quiet, slow-building stories on rainy nights, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tonight, we're stepping outside, just past 4 a.m., where the storm hasn't yet stopped, and the world seems held in a wet, waiting breath. It's just after 4:05 a.m. The rain has softened to a drizzle, steady enough to soak the air, leaving the porch slick and shining in the dim glow of the single bulb above the back door. The faint smell of wet wood mingles with earth, carried on the damp chill that slides beneath your skin from the cracked kitchen window nearby. Your bare feet feel cool against the tiled floor as you move closer to the door. The house is still otherwise, lights low, silence holding steady apart from the dull tap of rain. You pause at the door, your hand sliding instinctively to check the locks. The deadbolt feels secure, the latch firm. Fingers linger on the cold brass of the handle, smooth but oddly heavy to touch in this quiet hour. You glance down, and that's when you see them. Footprints, dark, fresh prints, pressed sharp against the wood of the porch floor. A muddy pattern, uneven, as if whoever made them hesitated or shuffled, weighing each step carefully. Your breath catches slightly. The footprints lead from the far side of the porch, near the edge where wet leaves gather, to right beneath the door. They aren't large, but not small either. You crouch, running your fingers carefully near the edges but not over the marks themselves, trying to tell how recent they are. The rain still falling soft and steady, blurring the edges of the prints somewhat, but you're certain these aren't from earlier today. Your heartbeat quickens, senses sharpen, every little sound seems amplified. The dull throb of rain on the roof, the occasional creak from the house settling, the whisper of wind shaking loose a loose shutter on the second floor, all these become the backdrop for your careful approach to the door. You weigh your options but know you have to stay aware in a way you didn't before. You reach for your phone, fogging the screen with your warm breath as you flip it open. The clock reads 4:08 a.m. Signals weak out here, but still enough. You hesitate before locking the screen again. It feels heavier night after night, this waiting, this being half listening to the space between sounds. The drops of rain on the porch slow, and the murmur of the woods beyond grows clearer. A branch shifting, the scuff of wet leaves. Somewhere on the edge of hearing, a whispered exhale, as if the dark is breathing just beside you. You straighten slowly and press your ear against the door, listening beyond the wood, beyond the glass. The footprints don't move forward past this door. They stop, like a visitor waiting patiently to be invited in, but unsure if they should knock. The porch light flickers just once, throwing long shadows that waver and blend into the night. You lean back, letting your heart steady, sensing how close your body is tuned to the quiet now. Doors locked, phone ready, the house breathing softly around you. And yet, the question settles in, the same one you can't quite shake. Who leaves footprints on a rainy porch in the middle of the night, then waits silently just beyond the door? And would you want to know why? Wherever you are right now, pause for a moment and take that in. What time is it as these words reach you? Early evening, midnight, or deep into the night? If you find yourself drawn to these slow, quiet stories wrapped in rain and shadow, thank you for being here. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, because tonight we're stepping quietly upstairs toward a small glow that shouldn't be there. It's just past 4:30 a.m. The rain has softened into a fine, cold drizzle, soft but relentless, pattering against the side window near the stairs. The air smells like wet wood and stone, with a faint note of ozone hanging low, stirred by distant thunder rolling slowly through the hills. The house is old, a rental out here near the edge of nowhere, where neighbors are scattered and far between. Inside, the steady hum of the heater contrasts with the wet freshness slipping under the edges of the doors. You find yourself drawn upward, steps quiet on the wooden stairs, feeling the cool air stir against your skin more sharply than downstairs. The house is silent, except for the rain's soft tapping outside and the occasional creak of settling beams. On the landing, you notice it, a faint, warm light coming from the attic window. Not the porch light, not hallway lamps, but a small, flickering glow, almost like a candle but steadier, something alive in the middle of the rain-dark night. You pause, hand on the railing, and listen. Footsteps from below, a softer version of those you heard earlier, blurred by distance and thick outside air. You wonder how that light got there. There shouldn't be anything in the attic. It's meant to be sealed, empty, except for dusty boxes and forgotten memories. Your skin prickles, the dampness brushing your neck sharper now, mixed with the quiet pulse of unease. The lock on the attic door clicks firmly in your mind, the one you remember pushing tight earlier. You breathe slowly and reach for your phone, the screen lighting up in your hand against the dark wood. It reads 4:33 a.m., the signal flickering, like the light you just saw. You consider calling for help, but the line feels distant, fragile beneath the storm's blanket. Instead, moving slowly, you tiptoe down the narrow hall toward the back door, ears strained for the faintest sound. Outside, the rain tickles the leaves, a soft chorus interrupted by the occasional scrape and whisper of movement just beyond sight. A low gust shifts the attic window light. It flickers away briefly, swallowed by shadows. The footsteps upstairs fall silent. The silence next feels almost too thick, like time itself waiting, holding breath in the spaces between raindrops. You glance back toward the stairs, the house feeling larger, emptier, and somehow alive with waiting. Questions rise about the shadow beyond the door, the light that shouldn't be there, and whether the rain outside is washing away more than just footprints tonight. How often do unnoticed things settle quietly, where we don't expect them? And when we're alone, listening to the storm and the house's small secrets, what is it we hope to find, or hope we never do? Before we dive in, take a moment. Where are you right now? What time is it for you as the rain falls softly in your space? If you like these quiet, slow stories made for the depths of night, thank you for listening, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Tonight, the rain taps gently on the side window, and you're about to lean into a moment where sound and silence blur in the dark. It's 2:42 a.m., late enough that the world feels paused, held in the soft grip of night and rain. You're inside a small rental house somewhere outside town, the kind of place where the closest neighbors are a good 10 minutes away by car. The rain slips steadily down the side window nearest the kitchen sink, bead by bead, tracing glistening lines across the glass. The air smells damp but clean, the faint mossy edge of soaked trees mingling with the cold metal of the window frame beneath your fingertips. You move through the dimly lit room barefoot, each step quiet but careful on the cold tile, the steady drip of rain filling the spaces between your breaths. You reach the window and lean toward it, a shiver curling along your skin when the window pane chills the side of your face. Outside, the porch is slick, with wet wood and fallen leaves bending under the night's mist. There's a soft rustle beyond the porch, a distant scrape of footfall caught just at the edge of hearing, disappearing with the next tap of rain. Your fingers trail along the wooden sill as you glance sideways, eyes catching the dark sweep of the yard. Shadows pool beneath the edge of the porch roof and fold into the thick shapes of trees lining the narrow gravel driveway. The house's back door is just out of sight, but you can feel its presence looming, closed and locked tight. Your fingers twitch toward your phone, the glow of the screen lighting your fingertips in the dark, displaying 2:43 a.m. You hold the device loosely, unwilling or unsure whether to call, to check, or simply wait. Then, a pause. Silence blooms between the raindrops, deeper than the steady drip before, hanging still. It stretches, pressing against your ears, making every tiny noise sharper. The distant hum of a power line, a branch creaking under the weight of soaked leaves, the soft skid of something brushing gravel near the far edge of the yard. You swallow a dry breath and let your hand rest where it is, feeling the cool, smooth hardness of the phone matching the chilled glass beside you. Your skin prickles with the faint sense of being watched, caught between the comfort of light and the unknown just past the window's reach. Outside, the rain picks up again, tapping sharper, faster, as if hurrying to wash something away. The whispers you thought you heard turn back into the patter of water. Footsteps retreat deeper into shadow. And as the night stretches longer and the rain becomes a persistent companion, you wonder, what is it about quiet moments like these that makes the smallest sound feel like a question? When every shadow could be imagined, does waiting in the dark become less about fear and more about something else? Something almost human, where patience and presence sharpen senses, and the night itself seems to hold its breath, asking what you'll do next. Before we settle in, take a breath and notice where you are right now. What time is it for you as you listen? If you appreciate these quiet, slow moments wrapped in rain and shadow, thank you for being here. Remember to like and subscribe if this kind of story draws you in. Tonight, the storm is fizzling into a drizzle, and you're about to accompany me into the basement hallway of an old, rented house where footsteps whisper and shadows slide just beneath the edge of sight. It's just after 1:15 a.m., and the rain is a soft, steady murmur against the side windows. The air inside feels cooler here, heavier with the scent of cold stone and damp wood. You step down the narrow basement stairs, each movement careful, so as not to disturb the settling quiet around you. The light above the landing hums faintly, flickering enough to make the shadows jump, but not enough to dispel them. A faint mustiness curls in the air, a mix of long-settled dust, moist earth, and the kind of chill that slips under your skin and settles on your bones. Your fingers press against the metal handrail, cold and hard, anchoring you as you move slowly along the hallway. The concrete floor beneath your feet feels solid but uneven, cool with the night's dampness. Ahead, the basement door leading to the backyard is shut tight, a barrier between the soaked world outside and this quiet, enclosed space. Then, a sound. A step, soft but deliberate, echoing faintly down the narrow length of the hall. You freeze, breath catching in your throat. Not quite your own breath, not quite a creak of the house. Footsteps, slow, careful, coming from just around the corner, just out of sight. Your heart ticks faster as the rain's steady rhythm outside becomes a muted backdrop, a curtain masking something brushing against the edges of your awareness. You edge closer, eyes adjusting to the shadowed corridor. The light flickers again, throwing brief flashes of silver across the damp walls, but the source of the footsteps remains unseen. There's a murmur now, a barely audible whisper that slips through the thick air, weaving beneath the sound of dripping water from the pipes above. You strain to catch the words, but they hang, indistinct and soft, as elusive as the shadows themselves. Your hand instinctively reaches for your phone inside your pocket. The screen glows at 1:17 a.m. You consider calling for help. Neighbors are far, and signal is spotty, but hesitate. The footsteps stop, replaced by a silence so dense it presses firmly into your chest. The air grows colder. A faint creak comes from a distant corner, a shifting weight perhaps, and you realize the quiet holds as much meaning as the sound. You decide to step back slowly, retracing your steps toward the stairs, careful not to disturb anything more. The metal latch of the basement door feels solid as you run a finger over it, the click reassuring in the low light. Outside, the rain has softened to a steady drizzle, the night breathing softly, unhurried. The house seems to settle again, the shadows folding back into themselves, waiting. You stand at the top of the stairs, breathing even but alert, feeling the sharp edge where comfort and uncertainty touch. What draws us to the places beneath our homes, where light fades and silence deepens? When footsteps echo just beyond your vision and whispers brush your skin like a breath, what part of you wants to listen? And what part shrinks back into the warmth of what's known? Before we dive in, take a moment to notice where you are right now. What time is it for you as you listen? If you like these quiet, slow-building stories made for rainy nights, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Tonight, it's just past midnight, and the rain taps steadily against the side window as we step into a dark backyard and the mystery of an unlocked gate. It's a little past 12:05 a.m., the air outside thick with the scent of wet earth and damp wood. The rain is steady, a constant tapping against the eaves that blankets the night in a steady, soothing rhythm. You're standing inside a small house rented for the weekend just outside town, the kind of place that feels tucked away enough for peace, with only the occasional sound of distant traffic or an owl's call breaking the silence. But tonight, something pulls your attention beyond the comfort of warm light and dry floors. Near the back door, your eyes drift toward the side yard, where the faint glow of the porch light spills weakly onto the wet grass. The rain muffles most sounds, but beneath it you catch something. A noise out of rhythm with the storm, a soft creak, the subtle scrape of metal. You move quietly toward the door, heart steady, but every sense alert. Your hand brushes the cold brass doorknob, fingers feeling the moisture lingering there from outside. You pause, listening. Then you notice it. The gate at the side fence, just beyond the porch, is slightly ajar. The latch hangs loosely, swinging in the rain's gentle breeze. The sight sends a small shiver down your spine. How did it come undone? You remember you definitely locked it earlier, testing it as you settled in. The satisfying click, still crisp in your memory. Your shoes slip silently over the slick porch boards as you step outside, the cool air pressing against your skin. The rain clings to your jacket in heavy droplets, and every sound feels amplified. The distant roll of thunder, the whisper of wind shifting wet leaves at your feet. You approach the gate cautiously. Mud clings to the grass beneath, muddy footprints faint but clear. They lead from the gate toward the back door, uneven, as if someone hesitated or shifted weight carefully with each step. You peer into the dim yard, muscles coiled, but not stiff with fear. More alert, watching. Your hand finds the latch, pulling the gate closed firmly and snapping it home. Then, instinctively, you check the locks on the back door itself. Deadbolt solid, latch tight. The house is secure, but your skin remains prickling with the tension of that unlocked gate. You step back inside and check your phone. 12:08 a.m. signal is patchy but enough. You consider calling for help, but something about this quiet tension stops you. It's the kind of night when silence holds stories, and you're suddenly aware of how much you rely on a locked door or a closed gate for your sense of safety. Outside, the rain plays its endless rhythm on leaves and gutters. That unlocked gate remains in your mind, a simple break in order with no clear explanation. Was it a careless breeze, an animal, or someone watching through the rain, slipping close and just far enough not to be seen? You wonder, what is it about these small openings, these barely there shifts in a locked world, that unsettle us most? And when the rain finally stops, if it does, what will remain behind? Quiet but still waiting. Before you settle in, take a breath and notice where you are as you listen. What time is it for you right now? If the quiet pulse of a rainy night draws you here, thanks for being with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Tonight, it's just past midnight, and we're stepping into a moment where the storm blurs the line between sound and silence, where a single knock by the back door unfolds into something you can't quite settle. The rain is gentle but persistent, tapping rhythms against the side window nearest the kitchen. The air inside smells of cold wood and damp stone, cool and slightly sharp on your skin when you move close to the glass. Outside, darkness folds over the yard, blurring shapes behind the slick shine of wet leaves. Somewhere far off, a distant rumble of thunder rolls low and slow, like the world breathing quietly through the storm. You're standing near the back door, the one that leads out to the porch and the yard beyond. Your fingers rest lightly on the metal handle, cool with the air slipped through small cracks under the weather stripping. The locks are all engaged, the deadbolt solid, the latch clicking softly. The security here feels routine, comfortable, but tonight there's an uneasy weight pressing just beneath the surface. Then comes the sound. A knock, soft, measured, deliberate, against the wooden door. Not a sudden bang or a hurried rap, but something patient, slow enough that it feels intentional. The knocking echoes faintly beneath the rain's constant patter and the soft swell of air moving through the trees. You startle a little, pulse quickening as you reach for the nearest light switch. But before you can flip it on, the lights flicker once and then fade completely. Total darkness settling like velvet across the room. The house sighs in silence with the rain. The knocking repeats, a subtle but clear beat against the door, slower this time. as if waiting, counting something you can't follow. Your hand slips to your phone on the counter, screen bright in the darkness, the soft glow illuminating your fingers. You check the time, 12:13 a.m. The signal is weak but still there. You consider calling for help, but the voice on the other end feels distant and you hesitate, not out of fear alone, but because the space between knocking and silence seems to stretch in a way that holds you, drawing your attention more than worry. Your eyes scan the dark yard through the window next to the door. You can just make out the slit porch boards shining faintly under the house's faint emergency glow, but nothing moves. The rain continues, rhythmic and steady, masking sounds but not the quiet knock, now beating slowly into the night. You reach out carefully, fingers brushing the cold door, feeling the wood beneath your palm. The knocking fades and then stops, leaving you with the rain's subtle chorus and an unsettled quiet. The lights remain out. You breathe, slow and deliberate, registering how the storm outside has somehow deepened the silence inside, making the familiar strange. The door is locked tight, the phone within reach, but your mind lingers on that single knock, so small, yet impossible to ignore. And you ask yourself, when the power fades and knocks come without explanation, what are we really listening for? What part of ourselves waits in the dark, hoping for an answer, or hoping it never comes?